Hi, my name is Laurie, and I struggle with bipolar disorder type 2 and borderline personality disorder. So I remember years ago when I was at my absolute worst as far as mental illness goes, and I had not yet been diagnosed, but I was so depressed, and yet I was so hyped up and revved up and anxious and nervous all at the same time. And I remember at the time that people started kind of pulling away from me and I was being rejected a lot. And I remember it was heartbreaking and I didn't understand why. And one day a lady from work told me, she said, you are such a nice person, but she said, I can only take you in small doses. I can only handle being around you a little bit at a time because your emotions are so intense. And I remember just being completely devastated and thinking, well, what am I supposed to do? I work with this lady. We work in the same room, just a few feet apart all day, every day. And she doesn't like me and I get on her nerves. How am I supposed to handle this? What am I supposed to do? And so I talked to my therapist about it and he said, Laurie, it's like this. And he said, let's say there's a really big, exciting party happening. And he said, when everybody gets there, everybody's really hyped up and happy and excited to see each other, excited to see what everybody's wearing. And he said, everybody's checking in. Hey, how have you been? What's been going on? And he said, and then there comes a time where people kind of run out of conversation and people start to calm down a little bit and mellow out. They start to get tired and thinking about going home. And he said, the problem is when it gets to the end of the party and everybody else is tired and ready to go home, he said, you're still up here. He said, they've come down here and you're still up here. You're still revved up, hyped up, excited, like it's the beginning of the party. And he said, and that gets on people's nerves. Well, I remember just being completely devastated and thinking, well, what am I going to do? People don't like me. I get on their nerves. They don't want to be around me. And I went into a really, really deeper depression than I was already in. And I started avoiding people and avoiding social situations and just basically isolated myself and stayed at home. And I remember this going on for a lot of years. And then I didn't like sit at home and never go out. But when I would go out, I remember that I limited my time with people. And at the end of the night, I would start feeling scared and paranoid. Like, oh my gosh, you talked too much. You said too much. You were too hyped up. Oh my gosh, you said this. What if that hurt somebody's feelings? And so then I would spend my time texting people and calling people and I would apologize. And I would say, I'm sorry I was revved up and hyped up. I'm sorry if I embarrassed you. I'm sorry if I said something to hurt your feelings. And it was really, really a difficult time and a difficult situation. But I eventually started getting around people more in a social situation. And I started going to a Bible study. And the more I got around people and the more comfortable I felt, the more I started coming out of my isolation and spending time with people. But I will tell you this, I'm still very careful. If I am in hypomania and I am too hyped up and revved up and I have plans, I either cancel the plans or I take a medication to help calm me down. If I am too depressed and too emotional and too overwhelmed, sometimes I will try to push through and just know that I'm going to stay for a little bit and then leave. And other times I will cancel. I have just learned that my emotions and my moods can be so extreme and it's hard for other people. When I'm in a state of depression and I'm boo-hooing and crying and miserable and only talking about negative things and obsessing about whatever I'm upset about, or I'm too hyped up and revved up and excited and I'm talking so fast and so loud I can barely catch a breath, I've realized that that bothers people. And so it does limit me on how long or how often I'm around people. But one of the things I do is I'm very careful about the people I'm around. I make sure that I'm around kind people, compassionate people, people who know that I have mental health issues and that I struggle, people who are accepting, but I'm still very careful about how often I'm around them and how long I'm around them. And that's just something that I have to be aware of and something that I have to take care of in order to keep myself from being hurt and rejected and getting depressed. I have to think about not only my own mental health, but I have to think about how it affects other people and when it's best to stay at home and be alone and when it's best to go out and be around other people. I hope this helps someone. Thank you for watching. Bye.